up, everybody? Welcome to House Divided. Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. Yes, he is in the facsimile of the hatch. I'm wearing the lucky shirt. There's a whole lot of stuff going on today as we get started. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. You guys know we love it when you do that. Jump into the Specs chat. Join the show. Give us some super chats. We'll be talking about a lot of things. A lot of Texas football specific notes today, which I think those watching Chad will really enjoy.
By the way, do I need to do the show like this today? Is that
Why would you do the show like that?
Is that going to be helpful? Just maybe squinting.
Are you Garrett Gilberting?
So no, well,
is that what that is?
We'll get to the Wingo story in a little bit. So I figured,
sounds like you want to get to the Wingo story right away.
No, we'll get there. Because we did preview the Lance Jackson discussion as well. I know the fans love to hear about stud 5 stars. The other thing that's going on today, Ketch, is things are so bad in Texas basketball land that they're blaming me for the win yesterday. I'm getting blamed for the win because I said I thought A&M was going to win, and a little reverse psychology maybe for Texas that but they didn't take it that way. They're now upset at me that I put some kind of weird reverse juju on Texas and caused them to win.
How dare you, Chad?
How dare I do something that caused Texas to win a game?
Yeah, look, that was an interesting game of basketball. Because on one hand, I kept thinking to myself, neither team deserves to win the game. And then on the other hand, I thought, man, both of these two teams are so gutsy and they play so hard and they both deserved. By the end of the game, I felt good for Texas that they had won. It was such a monumental win for them. They're in. They're in now. That's 2 back-to-back wins of the impressive variety. The other teams that are kind of in their spot haven't done what they've done in the conference tournament. So of all the teams that were sitting on the bubble, like really on the bubble, it feels like Texas is really the one school or among the few schools that have come in during the conference tournaments, handled some business. Now they've got 7 Q1 wins, which compared to the peers that they're competing against for a spot in the tournament, I think will serve them really well. I think they're playing with house money today against Tennessee. If they lose, nobody's going to hold it against them. They've done what they needed to achieve. And it's no small feat, I think, this year taking 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M. It's a really good Texas A&M team, and Texas takes 2 out of 3. And for everything that this team isn't and consistently good is among those. They play hard. And you can't say that against some really good teams this year, they haven't stepped up to the table and given like really significant efforts. And I thought that's what with their season on the line yesterday, they battled their way to a win. It wasn't always the cleanest game. I don't know that I ever watched that team and think very often, man, they play smart basketball, but God, they gutted it out. And like, I just tipped my cap to them for that yesterday.
Yeah, and think about how that three-game set plays out, Ketch. It appeared that A&M was going to get a sweep in the regular season, and it was the first time, whatever. It would have been the first time since the mid-'80s, Shelby Metcalf and Winston Crite, like that far back. Texas fights their way out of that one, gets that win, and then you get a double overtime win when you absolutely need it yesterday. So, it's big. It's big. And now we'll see. But as of this morning, you're waking up, they are in. Maybe it's a play-in they're in, but they are at least in the next discussion as we sit here.
I think it doesn't – I don't know that yesterday changes anything with Rodney Terry. I think the real games that we might decide, and I think if they miss the tournament, it's done. But beyond that, I think, this is still a program. If he makes it to the Sweet 16, I think it would be impossible maybe at that point to say after 2 years you're getting rid of the when he accomplishes something that really hasn't been accomplished very often in the history of the basketball program. Like, this isn't a school that just gets to so many Sweet 16s that becomes a nothing burger. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Like, we're totally, I think, in gray territory right now with regards to what happens. But, like, I don't know that you can begrudge a team, Chad. Like, whenever we do prize picks, Anwar and I will talk about, like, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't like rooting against guys. It's a lot more fun to pick the Moors and just let guys play real well and go over. It sucks when you're like, come on, don't get 17 yards. And, I don't want to do this with this basketball team. If they do something in this tournament, I want to try to be able to enjoy it without it feeling like, well, now the best in the long-term interest of the program is, no longer available because of a win. That sounds harsh and unfair.
Yeah, hopefully the fans will be able to do that. Before we move on to the Lance Jackson thing, Ketch, we did get a super chat from Barb's10, but also I just want to make sure, is this a thing? Chris Bennett says the Aggies still haven't posted the final score on Twitter. That's not real, is it? Come on. We're not. We're not in that world. Are we?
I don't sit around waiting for that. I don't know, Chad.
My people, man.
What are they supposed to? Is it do they have to?
My people. I don't believe there's a requirement that you post.
In Elon's brave new Twitter world, does losing teams like have to shame themselves in the aftermath?
I have no idea.
Big Brother beat us. Final and double. Is that what you want?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Barb's10 for $9.99. What's up, Barb's? Says the Aggie in-law group chat was colorful yesterday. Overall thought, did Texas really win? All those free throws couldn't put the nail in Coach Terry's coffin. Interesting.
Oh, no, okay. Look, Barb's, there was so much about that game that I don't understand. I don't understand in regulation. You take a timeout and you come out of it. And not that I don't dislike Tremont Mark, but he's 4 of 13 from the field and 3 of 7 from the free throw line. And with your season's fate on the line, you don't get the ball into the hands of your best shot maker. And there were times yesterday it didn't feel like they knew they had Trey Johnson on their team. At one point, he scored in overtime on a really difficult little step back shot. And that was the first time he'd scored since the 10-10 mark in the second half.
Yeah.
So it was like, how are they not getting the ball into the hands of the guy that if I told you a week ago the season's on the line, who do you want the ball in the hands of?
Right. Well, and Ketch, it's funny. You think about the prediction that we were that I threw out yesterday, that now the Longhorn fans are saying, I was part of the weird juju. You gave me a 25-point margin on Trey Johnson. And I said, I thought A&M could keep him lower than that. And that's why I thought they would win. I was half right. They kept him there. The key though, for Texas, 6 guys total, I believe, if I'm right, in double figures, all 5 starters. In double figures, to be able to spread the scoring around that much, that if that's ingredient can continue for Texas, that's going to be big, because Trey Johnson heavy lifting on his own is not going to get that team very far. Maybe there's one, there might be a big moment, but you got to have some help.
It really seemed like he was disengaged for a while.
Yeah.
There were times when his not being involved, this hasn't happened all the time this season. But I thought yesterday he bounced in and out of like being in the game, not on the floor, in the game.
Yeah.
And fair. I think, to his credit, he did. I mean, he hits that 1-3 from the logo that really felt like it changed what was going to happen in the game. That was one of the big moments of the game. But there weren't, what didn't consistently happen. And I know you still finish and you look and it's like, I think he finished with 20 shots or something like that. So, I mean, he got his shots when it was all said and done. But it's amazing how a game like that can end and you still want more out of Trey Johnson. And I think the good news for Texas is I almost think for Texas now, it's cool to lose. Go out valiantly to Tennessee. But like, you don't need to play a fourth game in 4 days because really, if you're in even a playoff, you're going to need to then play in a play or a play-in. You're going to play in a play-in, and then 2 days later, you're playing in another game. And then really, in order for this season to be deemed a success, you're going to have to win in 2 more days. So they will be put into a position where next week, probably best case, they've got to win 3 times in 5 days to accomplish, I think, what they would say, this is what our goal is as a team. So, I'm okay with like tonight. This isn't because I don't know what is it. If they were to win this game, does that get them out of a play-in?
Very possibly, yeah.
Think that?
I think that would lock that in. I'm not a bracketology expert, but I would think there's still in a possibility of it might be a play-in. You beat Tennessee, and I don't think it's a play-in. I think that gets you in the tournament. You're in, what do they call that now? The last 4 buys into the tournament.
Yeah.
Where you're in the true tournament. What I want to see, Ketch, now that they knocked the Aggies out, I just want to see a tour of former coaches. Face Barnes today at 2:30. If you win and Ole Miss upsets Auburn, you could face Chris Beard in the next round. That's what I want to see. Let's see some, Rodney Terry against some former Texas coaches. Can we get that?
You may get that.
You're saying it's cool to lose. I'm saying, let's go on a tour of former coaches and see what they can do. That Ole Miss Auburn game, by the way, should be fun.
I'm just saying, like, if you're Texas and you were to even win the SEC basketball tournament, and then you lose in the first round next week, we've seen how that played. Like, we know that is not like what Texas fans want. They will not celebrate going out in the first round, and yet somehow like that SEC championship is so hollow when you don't do anything with it the following weekend. So I don't know. I like I said, I think Texas has accomplished what they need to accomplish. Yes, if they were to win this to that, I'm not going to say throw the game. I'm just going to say I don't know that they absolutely need to win the game.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
You could argue that, like, if you do put yourself out there that much, you potentially really do take the legs out of you next week. We see it happen so many times.
Yeah, you're right. All right, we'll transition to a football discussion here in just a second after we remind you to jump on into that Specs chat. Over 230 of you in there right now as it starts to pile up. Thanks to Specs for being a great partner. Go get stocked up.
As a Texas family-owned business, we know you don't mess with Texas. And you won't find more ways to raise a glass of Texas-made cheer than right here. So whatever you're planning, we're ready to get you ready.
Also, we had this wonderful super chat come in for some football talk. $5 super chat, buy or sell. Arch leads Texas to the Natty in year 1. Low expectations from Jay. What do you think, Ketch?
Sell. I'll take the field.
You'll take the math. You'll just take the math of that situation.
I'm just taking. I'm playing the field.
Jay, that might be the way to go. We'll see what happens there. Ketch, we will get to a note on the offensive side, on Arch's side, and some maybe great news for Arch and the Longhorn offense. But I know you wanted to talk some Lance Jackson today as well. One of the studs, at least Texas fans hope he's a stud on the defensive side as a freshman coming in. What do we need to know about Lance and what you're hearing about the early days for him?
Well, the reason, full transparency, I got to working on other things in the war room, and I forgot to include the Lance Jackson notes that I teased yesterday. Oops. So it's an exclusive here on the show right now.
There we go.
It's funny. I think the thing that stood out to me when I asked about it earlier this week was the idea that from what I've been told, we're talking about a guy right now that has been better than advertised, that there is a palpable excitement level behind the scenes. There's a sense that this guy was rated as a 5-star at the end. Is he that kind of guy? And it definitely seems like, I think everybody's super impressed. And yet there is a sense of, everybody I talk to just talks about what this guy's ceiling is. That early on, the thing that you realize is that you look at him and you realize, oh my God, this guy's just getting started. And this is the marble, this is the clay that the coaches and the training staff are working with. I really exciting when people say that a 5-star guy athletically and just kind of off the hoof and first impression is even more exciting than the high school football recruiting reviews. Like he comes in with a ton of expectations, and at least early on, you wouldn't say that he's exceeding expectations. I don't think that's what it is, right? I mean, he hasn't done anything yet. They're still in the off season, but on a 1 to 10 scale, like what kind of buzz does that guy get amongst his peers and people inside the program? It's pretty maxed out. So really exciting stuff with him. And, you don't always hear that. Sometimes these highly rated guys come in, and I'll give you an example. Xavier Filsaime last year was a guy that when he came in with the big rep, the big ranking, and then behind the scenes, not one time did I ever have anybody go, who looks like they were underranked, could have been even better than they were ranked, Xavier Filsaime. Like that never got said. And in fact, as they go into year 2, it sticks out a little bit. You think to yourself, well, not every super blue chip is going to hit. Who are the guys early on that haven't made any kind of an impact? And it's like, well, haven't heard that kind of buzz, but you're hearing it about Lance Jackson. And I think, again, I find that as someone who covers the program to be really exciting.
Let me ask you about a couple guys kind of on the high side of things, because in the last couple of years, we've gotten to look at and really cover the development of, Anthony Hill, obviously first, and then Colin Simmons. How would you, both defensive studs, obviously, how would you compare or contrast? I mean, do you feel like it's similar discussions that you're hearing at this point? Is that fair, or is that maybe asking even too much of Jackson?
No, I think from a physical standpoint, Jackson is probably more impressive than those guys. Now, Simmons is like an athletic quickness, explosiveness monster, but none of those guys are as physically imposing and, walk into a room, who's the first guy you notice? It's definitely of the 3 guys you're talking about, it would be Lance Jackson. I mean, we're talking about a really gifted, athletic big man. And, he's a different athletic specimen than those 2 guys.
Yeah. And to be clear, we are talking in terms of Lance Jackson, we're talking straight up D end, correct?
Maybe. Again, that is one of the things that nobody seems to have a real handle on. It's like, I don't know how big he's going to get. I don't know. There's a sense that he can almost play anywhere on the defensive line. It just kind of depends on how he acclimates himself to the sport. It's easier to say, like, spin down inside and be a 3 technique or a 5 technique or an edge guy. All of those things are easier said than done. I think they've got to tinker with him a little bit, get him through off-season training, get him on the field, and then only then really I think when you get a sense of where is he most comfortable with a little bit of coaching, right? His pad level gets better. That alone, just a little bit of tweaking from coaching can, I think, change the way they will think about what he's ready for immediately and not.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't quite get this one at first, but I get it now, Jay. Mr. Clean's more talented brother. Yes, his brother Landon does go with the nice, clean, bald look.
And it's a total badass.
At Arkansas. And I was going to say, and is a pretty damn good player too. By the end of things, since Jay brought him up, by the end of all of it, Ketch, if you had to bet your money in Vegas at the window, does Lance, let's just go with like draft position. Does Lance get drafted higher than his brother?
Damn. Because where we are right now, Landon looks like a 2nd round pick.
Okay.
At worst, he looks like a day 2 pick.
Gotcha.
I'll take the field. I mean, God, to be in a position where you're saying he's definitely going to be a 1st round draft pick. He's got that kind of upside, but that's that's hard to absolutely lock in. But, if you ask me if I had $100 and I had to either pick, if the odds were the same, let's say I'm getting 5-1, day 2 or day 1, and you're getting 5-1 on both, you have to put a bet on one of the two. I'd put it on first round. And I feel really kind of icky for saying that because the expectations at that point are ridiculous. But he's a guy that I ranked as a top 3 player in the state. And as a legitimate, no doubt about it, I've been calling him a 5-star since his junior season. That's what it means when you say that you think a guy is a top 10, top 15, top 20 player in the nation. It means you think he's eventually going to be a first-round draft pick. If you don't think that way about him, you've got him misranked. I don't know about that. That sounds too high. Okay, well then you don't think he's a 5-star because that's really what you're saying. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes when I look at the rankings, I do ask myself, interesting, they think that guy's going to be a 5-star or they think that guy is going to have a first-round grade in 3 or 4 years. And, sometimes I don't necessarily agree with that. I hate to put that level of pressure on him, but if all things are equal and I'm just forced to pick, I'll take the highest level. And he's a better football player and a better prospect, and he's better developed right now than Landon was coming out of high school. Okay. I mean, Landon had to transfer from LSU to Arkansas. There was a sense that he was kind of a bust at LSU.
God, I forgot he started at LSU.
What's that?
I forgot he started at LSU.
Oh, yeah. And it didn't kind of work out for him. And, when he showed up, there was he's really raw. He's not ready to play at all. And he only lasted 1 season at LSU before he left for Arkansas. And, he's one of those guys that's real difficult to, what do we call that guy? Because technically he's a hit, right? But he kind of flamed out at his first choice. And if you were to ask the fans in Baton Rouge, hey, what do you think about Landon, who ended up at Arkansas and was all conference and, an NFL player ultimately? He didn't do that here. So
where was that?
Couldn't get on the field here. There's a little bit of that goes on. I just love Lance Jackson as a player prospect, though. And he's got the bloodlines, that to see his brother come before him and have the success that he had it does serve as an indicator. Those things often tell a story. And it doesn't mean that he can't get hurt. It doesn't mean that things can't happen that might sidetrack the guy. But, if that guy stays on the straight and narrow, does his thing, doesn't get hurt, I think that there's, this is a guy who has really high NFL upside.
Yeah. All right. Let's grab a couple quick chats here. Said says Mr. Clean doesn't have a 40-inch vert like Lando do. LOL. To be fair, said we never really got to see Mr. Clean let it go in those commercials, man. He was just kind of standing there, and but he looked pretty impressive. We never got to see him fast twitch, but I mean, but maybe not a 40-inch vert. You're probably right. Ketch, look who jumped in the chat today. Look who's with us today. What up, Daddy Sorrell?
What up, Daddy Sorrell?
Gotta be
I've
excited.
never called you that. I'm never doing that again. That felt uncomfortable.
Papa
Why do
Sorrell.
you call him that?
What do we call it? Daddy Sorrell, Papa Sorrell? What do we call him?
His name is Barry.
I understand, but he's he's.
I call him Barry. I'm not in the. I'm just a Barry.
I've been calling him Papa Sorrell, haven't I?
I just want to know. Sorrell. I'm not doing that ever. That just did not sound right coming out of my mouth.
Fair enough. Either way, welcome
Daddy
back.
Sorrell. No, I feel like Barry's got one person in his life that's allowed to say that.
Yeah,
and it ain't Barron.
Barry, I tell you what, you let me know what I'm allowed to call you. Either way, I know you're getting excited for draft time coming up. Really enjoyed watching Barron at the combine. That was a lot of fun. We welcome you back to the chat. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Quick super chat from Jay. $2. Do we still make the playoffs at least? LOL. Well, yeah, Jay, you just presented two huge differences. You went from national championship victory to, well, we at least make the playoffs, right? Come on now. I mean, You can definitely bet your money that the season falls somewhere between the two things you just sent us. Absolutely. Yes. That's a buy on the playoff berth. I think we could agree. All right. Ketch, what else on Landon Jackson that we need to focus on at this point? I'm so Lance Jackson. Excuse me. I just did it.
Nothing. Just know the initial buzz meter behind the scenes isn't lacking at all.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
Simple as that.
Well, there you go. So we'll be paying attention once spring gets going as to where does Lance Jackson fit in and reps and all that. Which side of the defensive line and all that. I guess that might be one final question, Ketch, for you, knowing how Kwiatkowski wants to structure his defense. Is there a side of the defensive line that you think Lance Jackson is more suited for?
Yeah, like I think he needs to be trying to line up on that Baron Sorrell side. Ethan Burke is proven, but he's not so proven that a 5-star couldn't just come in and take his job. Like that happened. It happened to Trey Moore is a good football player, but what ended up happening was Colin Simmons was undeniable. There's, it's the Chance Mock Vince Young thing. You can be a 5-star guy, and then another better 5-star comes in, and just sucks if you're Chance. And it's like, well, what happened to you? Oh, the greatest football in the history of college football came 2 years behind me. That sucked. But, the same thing could happen. We know that Colton Vassett is limited in the offseason. So I think that is an area where we saw the Justice Finkleys of the world move their way. You know what I mean? The guys that I think would have been depth pieces are gone. He's got a chance to go, I think, right there in that one particular spot and make some waves. And if you're Ethan Burke, don't let that dude get in front of you. This is where Ethan Burke needs to be. Go be an NFL player, big dog. This is who you're supposed to be. Baron Sorrell's out of the way. Nobody could ever suggest that Ethan Burke sitting behind Baron Sorrell was like some example of him being a scrub. It's Baron's an NFL football player, probably going to end up being a really good one, and also probably a guy that NFL teams are way more excited about than we even realized that they would be 6 months ago. So now he better be good, because the one thing we know that Steve Sarkisian will do behind the scenes, and it will never stop, and it's even more on the table now. I had this in the war room last night as well, Chad, but talk to a source, and the internal memo behind the scenes is all in on 2024 or 2025. That hasn't changed. I can't wait to see what that means in the spring portal. Because all in is all in. What does that mean? It means, well, if a choice is to be made about whether or not we're aggressive or not, well, all in is all in. You know what? Yep. If the running back from West Virginia enters the portal, it's not,
right.
He might be a starter, but he might not be. I don't think they're slowing down. They are all in. And if it means that some feelings get hurt by young players who are like, this isn't what I thought was going to happen. Well, hey, all in.
And we'll
worry about 2026 and 2026.
And speaking of feelings, Ketch, all of whoever it was, donor-wise, that had discussions around that retention thing about retained players that you want to come back. At some point, either Sark or somebody else has to explain to them too, now don't you go losing our number, because come spring portal time, let's not start acting like we're going to back off of anything. If we need to hit an accelerator, then you better be there, better be ready, because like you said, because it's all in. And I think it'll feel aggressive. That's the word that I'm going to predict. It will feel aggressive starting April 15th.
Yeah, and maybe that's a better word. I'm told all in, but maybe it is aggressive. Yeah, who are they going to be the rest of the offseason? The most aggressive of the aggressive in college football in terms of how do they from here improve this program and this team now? And I think it's really important that, if and when something suddenly becomes available in the portal, what they will most, I think, be interested and excited about is somebody who helps in 2 months and 3 months and not in 12 months. And so, where they look to spend their money, I think is really interesting. It's not an endless amount. So where are they putting their resources? I think, look, I got my popcorn ready. Let's go. Let's see it.
Oh yeah. All right, Ketch, let me get you a little, I'll see if I can find a name you're more comfortable with. Look what Mr. Sorrell just sent us. He's playing Jack. Spoke with him myself. How about that? You got a witness. Got a witness to the fact.
Well, Barry, give us some more.
Come on, Mr. Sorrell.
Tell us some more.
What else are you hearing, Mr. Sorrell? We want to know.
We won't even make you super chat it. Just tell us.
Yeah, get us some info. We like that. Said throws in that question: does Lance eventually move to the inside? You kind of referenced it earlier, Ketch. Where do you land on that one?
I think eventually, yes.
Okay, best of the best, the A+ version of Lance Jackson for you. Eventually, he moves to the interior.
Yeah, I think he's going to play 300 pounds in his college career.
Man, that's going to be a machine if that happens. Said, thank you for that question. If you guys want to throw us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. I don't see any super chats right now, but if you want to throw them in there, please do. We got a couple other, at least one other Texas football story we need to get to today. But before we get there, let me remind you about those concerts out at Hayes City Store. Got 3 of them left as we're talking to you. 7 down and 3 to go, and they're all free. I've told you, me and the family, me and the girls, we're getting out there for LC Rocks because my wife loves some 80s hair metal, especially when you got a badass cover band like that. She loves LC Rocks. So we're going to go see it on Sunday. All shows are free. Hayes City Store, TX.com. I'll also show you a little food. There are 2 kinds of pork chops and a little pizza for you. And that beautiful tree on the right side there, yeah, the stage for the concerts is kind of in that area. So with the weather the way it is right now, it's going to be fun to get out to Hayes City Store and check out those concerts. They are 10 years old this year. That's why they're doing the 10 days of free shows. Happy anniversary to Hayes City Store. All right, Ketch, we talked a little Lance Jackson. Do we now need to talk a little better like this or better like this? First line, last line.
The Ryan Wingo story from the War Room is just batshit crazy.
Oh, we do have a Ryan Wingo update, don't we?
To hear that, I just couldn't see. I don't even want to make a joke about it. Like, what they discovered in his first year on campus was that he wasn't finding the ball as well as they thought he should. Like, there were some sight issues.
And he let them know, according to the way I read Anwar's note in the War Room. And again, check out orangebloods.com. That QR code in the lower left, it's the easiest way to get signed up for orangebloods.com that's ever been invented by human minds. Get signed up. But as I'm reading humanity. As I'm reading it, I'm thinking, okay, wait. So what he's basically saying is, at some point, Ryan Wingo says to the coaches, hey, on the last part of the ball's flight, I get it. I see it. But I'm not seeing it until a certain point. And the coaches start to realize, wait a minute, what do you mean you're not seeing it? And then you get into that discussion. Apparently there was an eye test like before last season. And then either a degeneration has happened that quickly to a young man, which would be, I guess, rare, or Ketch, they just missed something somehow. Like he worked his way through an eye test and they didn't figure this out. But either way, number 5 has had LASIK surgery and now should be seeing these everything. Should be seeing the defensive coverage, should be seeing the routes, should be seeing the balls from Arch Manning in a whole new way.
Look, on one hand, you will not have DeAndre Moore, one of your starting wide receivers, on the field during the spring, so that's not good for Arch. But on the other hand, one of his starting outside receivers will be healthy and out there, and he'll be able to see the ball.
Yeah.
So
Seeing the ball. It is. And by the way, I do agree with this chat too. Find the glass half full, Hunter. Hunter says, guy was still playing and having success without seeing the ball. What a stud.
I don't disagree.
I don't either. Like, imagine, let's say it was 70%. Let's say 70% of the ball flight, he's not seeing it clearly. And the last 30%, he would tell us, okay, there it is right there. The idea that at the high level college, P4 level, that you could do that and be as successful as he was, because Ketch, at least in games, I don't remember us discussing. We discussed usage for Wingo. We discussed, catches and usage and stuff. I don't remember a dropsy discussion with Ryan Wingo last year. Don't recall it.
No.
No.
This Chad, am I okay?
You're good now. I just heard Chad, am I okay? As of that moment, I think you're good. I think you're back. You fritzed for a second.
Damn, these connection. It is telling me I have a connection issue.
Okay. Yeah. You're just a shade behind right now. But
do you want to pay a bill and let me reboot?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that real quick. While Ketch is resetting there, let's tell you about Hijack Poker, hijackpoker.com. You can put it on any device you want. You've seen Ketch play a little bit on the show. I know some of you have jumped in and played. Our man Alex Dunlap got in there and may or may not have beaten Ketch on a hand or two. Hijackpoker.com. And remember, you can deposit or cash out, deposit and cash out at any of the 6 Texas Card House locations. There's other ways for you to deposit money. It's real easy to use. Get on in there. And remember, this is just for everybody in the great state of Texas. So it's online poker in the state of Texas, Texas Card House presenting that. Also, keep your eyes peeled, ears peeled. We may have watch party stuff going on for tournament days, maybe even that Thursday and Friday to start the tournament coming up. So stay tuned for that. All right. I see Ketch. He's back. You good? Uh-oh. I just see him frozen now. Just see him sitting still. He does not look happy. Did you see that face? That was maybe even the old face. He didn't look thrilled. He did not look thrilled at all. If you guys want to throw in a super chat, you could. All right, let's see. Oh, Anwar jumped in. Oh, here we go. Anwar, I see you there. Let's get a couple of these. So Anwar says he was dropping the ball too much and the staff started wondering what's wrong. And then here it is. Then he admitted he could only see the ball when it got closer. That prompted the eye exam. It's just wild. Anwar, thank you for the info. Yes, and great stuff, as always, in the war room from Anwar. It is, it's a good thing to be able to admit when it comes along. Like somebody said earlier, you're a stud. If you're not seeing the ball and you're still figuring out a way to catch it. I can remember a few of these type of stories, both in and out of sports, but hey, some of us go through it. You guys see, I'm wearing glasses every day. Ketch is wearing glasses every day, but we weren't born with them on. Sometimes you have to figure out. I was one of those that had to have a moment later on in life where I'm like, oh, you know what? I might need to think about these reading glasses because I'm noticing that this stuff's getting, stuff is blurry up close. With Wingo, it's the opposite. It's he's having trouble seeing that distance, obviously, but admitting it is, can be tough. Also, just realizing that maybe there is an issue can be a little tough, tough time. This is an interesting comment from Michelle. It makes sense why he had so much success against the bad teams because he probably had way more separation and time to find the ball. LOL. Can't wait for 2020 Wingo. Might be better than that, Michelle. Might be 2015. I always think about 2 athletes when it comes to Lasik, and they're the best of the best, but Tiger Woods back in the day had Lasik. And I remember thinking, oh, good. That's real good news for the rest of golf. They got no shot. But the other one was Greg Maddux. And as a fan of the Braves and Maddox's career, when I heard he got LASIK, I thought, now that's just not fair. But I think both those guys were able to report like 2015 vision and how that affected things. So, that's great. In terms of Texas football, somebody put a name in the chat. The name I think of, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it Carrington Bindum that Charlie Strong showed up at a presser one day and admitted that Carrington Bindum, he's like, man, we found out he needed glasses. How about that? We found out he wasn't seeing like he wanted to. And then one of the ones in college football I always think of, and he was a stud in college, Jameis Winston at Florida State. Spent all this time squinting at the sideline, and I thought, why aren't they fixing that dude's eyes? Why aren't they figuring that out? And he didn't get LASIK till he was in the NFL. So it's great that Ryan Wingo's getting this figured out now. Let's see if we can get Ketch back in here, see if his connection is decent. Ketch, talk to me.
Talk to me.
Okay. Let
me tell you where Chad, I'm at Mount St. Helens. Level of like frustrations.
All right. Are you ready? I mean, are you at like ejector seat, ripcord? Is that where you are? Are you at like, let's try to do buy or sell and go? I mean, where are you? What are you thinking? Because right now you look fine.
I'm game. Like I'm not like trying to hit the eject cord.
Okay.
But I also know that I'm connected to my cell phone right now, and that is exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Like I'm on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes be okay. I'm waiting. The thing is, now I'm at a point where I've rebooted the network and now it shows that it's working.
Okay.
So the question is, do I disconnect and hop on the more stable network, which has been failing me in this hour of need?
I say if what's working right now is working, and it is, let's stick with it. And if it dies, then go back.
Okay.
Then go to the other one.
I'm not at a point yet where I was on Monday where I was like, Anwar, show time of death, 9:23 a.m.
Okay.
Not there.
Yeah, not there.
But golly, man. It's like,
okay,
why here? Why now?
You can help on this Longhorn discussion. The name I was remembering, Ketch, was Carrington Bindum, but Chris Bennett says it was Michael Thompson. There was a defensive back that Charlie Strong told everybody, hey, man, we found out he needed glasses. I thought it was Bindum. Bennett is saying it was Michael Thompson back in the day. Do you remember? Okay. I remember a story, somebody on that defense, and I was just mentioning Jameis Winston as you came back. That's my biggest name, like in the last, say, 10 to 15 years. And Jameis you'd watch it at Florida State. They'd zoom in on him. He's squinting. And I remember thinking as it was happening, why aren't they fixing this? Why doesn't Jimbo Fisher just get this guy LASIK? Jimbo Fisher was overlooking a lot in Tallahassee, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But it was a wild story, Ketch. Jameis got to the NFL before he got LASIK. I don't even know if he got LASIK in Tampa. That's how long he waited for that kind of stuff. I think maybe it was when he was with the Bucks at some point. There was a LASIKed up version of him, but it might have even been with the Saints. So I love that Wingo did this. And Ketch, us guys, we don't want to admit stuff. We don't want to admit these things at any age. And sometimes fans want to make fun of these players for, how'd you not admit that? How could you not tell them? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you get by until you can't get by anymore. And I love that he told him. And now let's see, man. Let's see what it looks like where Ryan Wingo sees the ball. Ryan Wingo was that in high school and the start of college, and he wasn't seeing the football clearly. Like,
I know it does really make it feel like the possibilities are limitless at that point.
Right. If I told you like 1 year into Calvin Johnson at Georgia Tech, not putting that pressure on Wingo, but like, hey, do you know Calvin hadn't been able to see this whole time? Huh? What are you talking about? That's awesome. Good for him, man. And Anwar is backing up Chris Bennett, saying it was Michael Thompson. So I had the name wrong. Thank you, Anwar. Michael Thompson was the guy. I remember being at the press conference and just like, did a coach at Texas just admit one of our defensive players, we realized he couldn't see? Hey, it happens. So good for Ryan Wingo. And now let's see what that development looks like. To your point earlier, Ketch, the DeAndre Moore situation, the fact that he's going to be involved a little less maybe than people thought in the spring, you would imagine maybe now, these reports on Ryan Wingo will be even more crystal clear than they would have been.
Yeah,
literally.
Stuff. By the way, I think it's hilarious that, congratulations to Anwar Richardson, who for yet again breaks a national story. I'm looking at On3 right now, using the reporting the Ryan Wingo story, but giving Anwar Richardson credit this time, I guess.
Yeah, hey, by the way,
normally they don't do that.
I was going to say, a little bit of a golf clap for for maybe even multiple competitors that are actually giving Anwar credit for breaking all these stories. Well done.
Normally, they just co-opt it.
Yeah, right.
But that's a hard one to get confirmed.
Yeah. And by the way,
Ketch, that is not one that's let me make a quick phone call. It doesn't always happen that easy when it's Lasik surgery. So I don't know.
Here's another weird question for you, Ketch, since we sit here and do the show every day, both of us wearing glasses. Have you ever felt like you sort of fudged an eye test or passed an eye test that deep down you shouldn't have passed? Have you ever had that experience where you kind of – I've had a situation where it was maybe it was at the DMV where I closed one of my eyes and the other eye was able to make up the difference. And later I thought, should I have done that? Should I have admitted that, those kind of things? I wonder if Ryan Wingo just had some way of getting through an eye test to where they go, no, he's fine. But then, later admits it. So it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to all of us, men and women. Sometimes you have to admit this stuff. And Ryan Wingo just did. So that's good. That is good. And Matt, yes. Unc has been on a heater. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And thank you for that love for Anwar. All right. So Ketch, we got Ryan Wingo can see. We've got the people that can see Lance Jackson think he's a badass so far. What else? What else is on your brain today on a Friday?
I'm glad it's Friday. TGI Friday.
Yeah, that's always good. Did you ever eat at Fridays?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Did you ever eat at Fridays back in the day?
No.
No?
Did you? Were you ever a Fridays guy?
Oh, I love me some TGI Fridays. Yeah. My wife and I still talk about the one we used to go to and how sad we are it's not there. We're simple folk, Ketch. And when they close up TGI Fridays, sadness. All right. You want to buy or sell?
Yeah, let's do buy or sell. I'll let you go first today.
All righty. Let's start with that basketball team and get your official word on it. You think they are at least a play-in game now? For sure. They're not falling back any further. Buy or sell?
I'm going to go buy. I think they have I think they've locked themselves in.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's it. I think they're in the maybe it's play-in, but so they're not in the tournament officially for sure, but they're at least in the next postseason in some way. All right, Ketch, let's go to Lance Jackson since we talked about him. Lance Jackson's freshman year, 5.5 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Take both overs.
Yeah, I'll go buy on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think the tackles for loss will be close. I think it'll be something like 6.5, 7.5 tackles for loss.
Ooh.
Something like 3 sacks.
About 3 sacks. Okay. Gotcha. There you go. All right.
For year one, I think would be, as a reserve player, I think would be a really good start.
I'm also, me, I love the uniform stuff. Wonder what Lance Jackson's going to wear number-wise. What kind of number are they going to throw on Lance Jackson? I'm interested to see that. Buy or sell number 3, Ketch. If I made you pick a winner for the men's tournament, you'd go with UConn.
So I will go with Auburn. I love that Auburn team. I enjoy watching them play. I think that they've got all the pieces that you look for. Maybe the piece they maybe don't necessarily have is the coach. Can Bruce Pearl do it?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting point. When you asked me how happy I was about A&M upsetting them, it was not just the principle of beating number 1. It's to what you just said, how good that team is. I know it was College Station, but I got a lot of pride out of that one. That was a nice win to beat that team anywhere. They're definitely in the group. Yeah, I don't think there's one clear team. Auburn's got to be in your discussion. All right, Ketch, let's grab some weird birthdays. Let's see. I know it's not your style of music, but I want to know which way you go. Buy or sell number 4, Dee Snider of Twisted Sister and Bret Michaels of Poison. Both have birthdays tomorrow. Prime on Prime concert. You'd rather see Twisted Sister.
I'm going to go sell.
You're going to sell and go see Poison?
It's not like a strong sell where I'm like, it has to be Poison.
Right.
I think I'm like 60-40 Poison.
60-40 Poison.
But because if you said, Ketch, I'm sorry I asked you because I thought you would say Twisted Sister and I only have tickets to Twisted Sister, I'd be like, cool. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, man, okay. You put Poison out there in front of, like, I'd be okay.
Okay. Yeah. I have only seen Poison. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. And I might lean Twisted Sister because I've just never seen him. But man, Bret Michaels and Poison put on a hell of a show back in the day and now. Shout out to those guys. D. Snyder's going to be 70 tomorrow. Y'all want to feel old?
What kind of crowd do you get at a Twisted Sister show? I know what a Poison show looks like.
Right. That's a great question. Again, since I've never seen them, I can't tell you, but I think it's a little more like raw meat than cooked steak, if that makes any sense. It's a little gnarlier, I think, than a Poison crowd.
Do you want to know what word I was going to use?
What's that?
Scuzzier.
Yeah, good point. It's scuzzier. If we're going to get in a fight in a dark alley and I get to pick two people from the Poison crowd or two people from the Twisted Sister, I want the Twisted Sister people in the alley with me.
Especially if they're women. Like, I just feel like the Twisted Sister woman crowd is kicking the crap out of the Poison crowd.
A, that's true, and B, I want to see that fight. If we can get
there's just big hair though everywhere.
Oh, there'd be hairspray in the air that night.
Somebody would get sprayed in the face. That's how that fight would end.
Speaking of birthdays, how about this birthday for tomorrow? Buy or sell number 5. Quinn Ewers will be 22 years old tomorrow. Obviously getting ready for the draft. Ketch, he'll be drafted in the first 2 rounds. Buy or sell?
I'll go buy.
Okay. I saw a mock today, Ketch, where the 3rd quarterback went in the 1st round. And that was Jackson Dart in this particular mock, that he's crawled up into the 1st round discussion, at least for this one person. So then I thought, well, where does that, and it was only a 1 round, but I wondered, where does Quinn fall after that? So I'm fascinated by it. I don't think we get past the 3rd round.
Is that there's a buzz.
Okay.
No, we're not. I mean, I think there are some. I don't know that I don't include myself in the group. I don't know who the 3rd quarterback is going to be, but I can buy that it will be Quinn Ewers because, I mean, whatever Quinn Ewers isn't, if you're asking me who I think in 5 years could be better, Quinn Ewers or Jackson Dart, I will take Quinn Ewers. I still think that there's a level and an upside and a potential that I think for him is higher than these other quarterbacks. That doesn't mean he's as good as they are right now.
Right.
And so I think there's a little bit of, if you had to play a guy right now, maybe Jackson Dart's more better suited to play right away. But, if I'm taking a guy in the 1st round, I think the thing I care about the most, especially if I'm taking him later in the 1st round, because at that point, you don't really expect guys who are late 1st round picks to be day 1 starters, not at quarterback. So then it's about who's going to be the best guy in 5 years. And I can see a team getting to a point where they think that that's Quinn Ewers, but I don't think we're going to see a consensus opinion. And I think that's the kind of thing that drives guys down in the draft.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't love the guy, but we don't think anybody else does either. How about we take somebody we love?
Real quick, Ketch, before you start, I asked my wife about Aaron Rodgers. She is very against the idea. She does hate Aaron Rodgers, irrationally probably, but she wants no part of it. Real quick, if you were the Steelers, would you go Wilson or Rodgers if that was your choice? I mean, if everything could work and you could have one or the other, what would you do?
I'll go Russell Wilson just so I don't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers' bullshit.
Well, right. I think that's part of what's in her head too. It's the drama aspect of it too. And let's face it.
I think we're at a point now. Aaron Rodgers isn't winning you a Super Bowl.
Right.
Whereas in his prime, you could almost put him on any team, and he elevates that team to a contender. I think we're at a point now where it's like he's not. I don't think he's winning you a Super Bowl unless he's surrounded by put him in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to give him that kind of a team, sure. But beyond that, I think he's done being that kind of a quarterback. And God, I can't imagine. I would not want him with the Cowboys. I would take Dak. At least I'm not dealing with that crap.
Yeah, no, I could understand that thinking. All right, Ketch, what do you got?
Buy or sell, number one. If you could go see Bruce Springsteen live in concert, and you're seeing him, but now it's how you're going to see him. I've seen Bruce 3 times, but one of them was in the Legend of Tom Joad tour, which meant I got to see him play an acoustic show on row 2, in a very intimate setting. There were only like a couple of hundred people, I think, that were even at that show. Buy or sell. If you had to choose, you'd rather see Bruce in a stadium, 70,000 people, the band doing the band, and not low-key Bruce, if given a choice.
For me, that's a buy. I'm not a massive fan of his, but respect the hell out of him. I think the show would be great, but I want full blast. I want what's the guitar guy's name? I know it's Clarence Clemens on sax. I want Clarence on sax. I want a prime concert, man. I want Clarence, rest in peace, back with us on sax. I want that dude on guitar, Jimmy Steven, little Jimmy Steve, whatever that dude's name is. I want full band. Give me full band. I don't need, because I've heard some things about those acoustic shows. They were a little weird in some ways. I want the full blast Bruce Springsteen.
Fair enough. Buy or sell, number 2. You watched it yesterday. You just don't really believe that Texas somehow beat that A&M team. Buy or sell?
Buy. Yeah. I mean, it was like you said, it's just a gritty, grimy type of game. But man, that's that A&M team. They got to get you to play the exact kind of game sometimes. And it's like their sloppiness has to match your sloppiness. And yeah, when the Aggies needed a rebound, which they're really good at, they just couldn't find them. So it did surprise me, especially like we talked about with Trey Johnson being held to 20, whether you give that credit to A&M or to your point, that just weirdness of the game where Trey Johnson just didn't feel like Trey Johnson for sections of the game. If you lay all that out for me and A&M does that on the boards overall, they're supposed to win that game. So I was surprised they lost it.
Buy or sell, number 3, that Texas team yesterday could win 2 games in an NCAA basketball tournament. Like, what were we watching yesterday?
Yeah. Boy.
Or is that level of play from A&M in the tournament that gets you beat?
Yeah, it's more about, it's more about the matchup there. I'm going to sell that would get him 2. Might get him 1. I don't think that gets you 2 wins in a tournament. It's going to need to feel a little different. Going to need to shoot a little bit better there, and you're going to need to be on the glass. You can't 2 straight games in the tournament where you get out rebounded by 13 boards and you don't quite shoot the way you'd like to. I can't guarantee 2 wins there. No.
Buy or sell, number 4. I believe there are reports out that the Cowboys could be on the verge of signing running back Miles Sanders to a 1-year deal. Buy or sell? Super Bowl, bitches. No.
Capital B.
All caps. What are you talking about?
All caps. Especially if you're telling me you got the Rico Dowdle sidecar ready to roll. Come on. Who's fighting with that? Sanders and Dowdle?
Who's saying no to that?
Do you understand how many Eagles defensive players are going to fake injuries when they hear that they have to deal with Miles Sanders and Rico Dowdle? Woo! Look out. NFC East, you have been notified. That's a sell.
Buy or sell, number 5. I had a buddy of mine once who went on basketball scholarship at Liberty University.
Yeah.
But he ended up getting thrown out of college because he had like beer in his dorm room.
Yeah, Liberty's hardcore.
Buy or sell, number 5. You would rather not go to college on scholarship at all and pay your own way than to be a scholarship anything at Liberty.
I think that's a buy. For me, yeah. I mean, I'm just, and I wasn't a crazy partier in college, but I don't think I could live up to their expectations. So yes, I would have to fight it out somewhere else. And if I needed to go wait tables or whatever it would be, I'd do it so I could at least do it my way. Yes.
You're like, look, I don't need heroin, but like, can I have a beer every once in a while?
It's like, come on, what? I turned, it's like I'm 19, I got a Coors Light, and you come in. You
go to A&M with the expectation that I would be sober forever. What's this
just trying to
chicken place?
Right? I'm trying to wind down with a Coors Light, and you just kick my door in. What are you doing, Liberty? What's happening?
All right, that's how we do buy or sell. I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. Real quick buy or sell for you from Jose, a $1.99 super chat. Catch, buy or sell. You're in for season 4 of Ted Lasso.
Absolutely. In fact, I saw that headline earlier today, and I almost didn't believe it because one of the big fake out headlines that they no longer get me, but I would say I've been got 3 or 4 times in the last month is TV shows being teased that new seasons or just new shows in general are coming out. Mm-hmm. The first one that didn't get me that I was like, no, that's bullshit. There was a story out on Peacock that Peacock was re-releasing Golden Girls.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
But it was like Tina Fey and
Amy Poehler?
Yes. It was like that crew. And then I was like, no way. That's too good to be true. That is not happening. Yeah. And I kept seeing it over and over again pop. It was surprise. It was on Facebook feeds. And I was like, that is not a true story. I'm not falling for that. But they've got me a couple of other times where I've been like, oh, season 3 of this is coming out. And it's like, no, they made that up. And it's like, So
yeah. You just put an idea in my head, not necessarily with Tina and Amy, but they should write the show. We need if we're going to re-rack a Golden Girls idea, just make Reba one of the 4. I don't know what you do with the other 3. Let's make Reba one of the 4. Can we do that? I think that would be a good idea. Make her the Southern Belle. Are you in for that?
Look, the idea of Amy Poehler as Rose.
Yes. Now that's a good idea. Amy is Rose. Tina Fey.
She could be Blanche. She really could be.
She could pull that off. Okay, then
I don't think Tina Fey is like that's. I don't think she's Blanche Devereaux.
No, because nobody is. But it's gonna be tough. But she can get close.
Who is Blanche Devereaux in 2025?
Meryl Streep?
No. I mean, because remember that we were at a point where, I think Kim Cattrall before Sex and the City.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
And maybe she could just do it. It's a version of Samantha.
That would be good.
As a Golden Girl.
After what Meryl Streep pulled off in the SNL 50, I want to see her do more comedic roles. That's why I brought her up. She might be a little on the old side for that idea, but she could pull it off. I like the idea. That's funny. Thank y'all. Thank you, Jose, for that last super chat. All right, Ketch, we good? We ready to exit? You done?
I'm ready for the weekend, man. Should be a fun one.
Ready for the weekend?
My kids turn 11 today. Happy birthday, Hendrix and Haven. Number 11 today.
Wow. I forgot your kids were born on Pi Day on 3/14.
My daughter weighed 3.14 pounds on Pi Day.
Wow. Is that right?
She's our Pi baby.
That's incredible. Happy birthday to Hendrix and Haven. 11 years old now.
Dude, I'm telling you, the day started with us going to a doctor's visit, and they told us, well, we were literally in the doctor's office waiting for the doctor, and we were looking up what was playing at the Draft House that night.
Wow. So y'all didn't think that was the day at all?
No, it was 32 and a half weeks, and they had not been telling us that she was dangerously into like preeclampsia kind of territory.
Right.
So when they told us, hey, your blood pressure's way too high, it's now at dangerous levels, the kids have to come out tonight or today. That was just not on. I've never been more like, wait, what? And Heather was like, we're out of here. And so when we left, I was like, Heather, we've been going to the doctor for months now, taking their advice at every step. And now at the moment where they tell us this is when we need to listen to them the most, you know, you're telling me God's told you not to have the babies. Are we sure we want to listen to him?
Oh, man. Happy birthday to the Ketchum kids. 11 today. All right. Well, y'all have a good birthday there. Everybody have a great weekend. Remember to like, subscribe, get those notifications. Also, note, no football with friends this evening. So go check out all that other great content on Orange Bloods Live and click on that QR code in the lower left and get all the stuff at orangebloods.com. It's the easiest way to get signed up. War Room on Thursday night. Ketch opened up that Truths and Lies the column this week. That's going to be coming each and every week. And
people love that article, by the way.
I was going to ask, you getting the reaction you want out of that thing?
Yeah, people were pretty gassed up about it. I'm glad, all of this is new content, a lot of it that we've been creating. So some of it will take time to build up some steam, and yet that one seemed to be immediately popular. So I was excited about that.
And remember, Anwar Richardson is breaking more stories at orangebloods.com than Ryan Wingo was catching fuzzy footballs. He's doing it all the time. Make sure you're at orangebloods.com for the very latest. Congrats to Ryan Wingo for getting that vision to, I'm assuming, 2020 or better. We'll see what that looks like in 2025. We also talked to little Lance Jackson today. Y'all have a good weekend. Also, remember, Monday morning at 9 a.m., speaking of Anwar, he'll probably break another story live on the Monday Overreaction show. He and Ketch do that Mondays at 9 a.m., so make sure you check it out. Everybody have a good weekend, and Longhorn fans, try to root for that basketball team. I know it's tough. Everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you on Monday. See ya.